300 years ago, a conqueror melted 1,000 swords into a chair, not for comfort. The chair was designed to hurt. He took the blades from the men he had killed, the kings who knelt and the kings who burned, and he had them twisted and beaten and fused in the breath of a dragon. Barbs, spikes, edges that never stopped being sharp. He built a throne that cuts the man who sits on it. Because a ruler who sits easy has already forgotten what it cost to rule. And for 3 centuries, men have schemed, poisoned, betrayed, and died to sit in that chair. Here is the part nobody says out loud. The dragon that forged that throne is bones in a cellar. The family that conquered with it is nearly extinct. The power that made the throne mean anything died generations ago, but the killing never stopped. This isn't a story about magic, it's an autopsy, a case study of what happens when a civilization keeps fighting over a symbol, long after the thing it symbolized is already dead. To understand why Westeros collapses, you first have to understand what was holding it together. And it was never really the throne. It was a deal, an unwritten contract, thousands of years old. At the bottom, the small folk, farmers, fishermen, blacksmiths, more than 90% of every human who ever lived in this world. They grow the food, they pay the taxes, and when war comes, they are the bodies that fill the field. Above them, the lords. The deal is simple. You feed us, and you bleed for us. In exchange, we protect you. That's the logic of a castle. It isn't a palace, it's a promise. Come inside these walls when the raiders come. Above the lords, the king. And above the king, nothing. Just belief. That's the secret the whole system runs on. Not swords. Belief. A king has no real power of his own. He can't plow a field or win a battle alone. His power is a story that other people agree to tell. The lords obey because they believe the other lords will obey. The soldiers march because they believe the man beside them will march. Pull the belief out, and the crown is just a hat. Consider the oldest riddle in this world. A king, a priest, and a rich man. Each command a common sellsword to kill the other 2. Who lives? Who dies? The answer is, whoever the sword decides to believe. Power isn't the crown, or the gold, or the gods. Power is a shadow on the wall. It is only as tall as the men who agree to kneel. And here is where it breaks, because when 5 men look at the same throne and each decides that he should have it, the contract doesn't just weaken, it inverts. The lords stop protecting the small folk and start feeding on them. Armies burn the very fields they were sworn to guard. The richest farmland on the continent is put to the torch by the knights whose entire purpose was to keep it safe. Villages emptied, harvests salted, children on the roads. The people at the bottom don't get a say in which king wins. They just pay for all of them. Every crown cost the same currency. And it was never gold, it was them. Now here's where most people get the story wrong. Ask a casual fan what this saga is about, and they'll tell you dragons versus ice zombies. A fight for survival, good against the dead. But that is not the story Martin is actually telling. The real monster in Westeros isn't the dragon. It isn't even the thing waiting in the far north. It's decay. Go back to that throne. The Dragon Kings didn't rule because they were wise or just or loved. They ruled because they owned a weapon that could not be answered. When you can rain fire from the sky, nobody argues. That isn't government. That's a monopoly on annihilation. But the dragons got smaller, then sickly, then they died. The last of them, a stunted, deformed thing, died in a locked room a century before our story begins. And the empire did not fall. That's the terrifying part. The weapon vanished, and the institution just kept running. On momentum, on habit, on a story so old they forgot it was ever backed by anything real. Westeros in these books is not a kingdom. It is a corpse that hasn't been told it's dead. A 300-year-old machine running on an engine that stopped decades ago, and every faction is fighting for the right to steer it. The rebellion that overthrew the Mad King didn't fix anything. It just dragged a new body onto the throne and left the rot underneath untouched. Same broken contract, same hollow crown, different name. And while the powerful squabble over the cutting chair, the actual threat is building at the edge of the map. Winter, and the things that come with it. Look at the one institution built for exactly this threat. The Night's Watch, once tens of thousands strong, an order sworn to stand between the living and what waits in the cold. By the time the real crisis arrives, it's down to a few hundred men. Criminals, boys, the unwanted. A punchline told at feasts. The society built a wall against the one thing that could end it, and then spent centuries forgetting why. Because the wall was boring, the wall was expensive, and the throne was so much more interesting to fight over. They're not fighting for survival, they're fighting over the chair while the house burns down around them. And this is the part that should follow you out of the fantasy and into your own life. Because we do this too. Every civilization inherits institutions built to fight yesterday's threat. Rules written for a danger that's already gone. Rituals whose original meaning nobody alive can explain. We keep performing them, kneeling to them, killing for them, long after the dragon that gave them power turned to bone. We are extraordinarily good at fighting over the throne, the promotion, the border, the seat at the table, the symbol. It's visible, it's near, it gives us an enemy with a face, and we are extraordinarily bad at looking at the edge of the map, at the slow, patient, faceless thing that doesn't care who wins, the one building quietly while we perform our little wars over a chair. Every society tells itself the winter isn't coming, that the wall will hold, that the boring threat can wait one more season while we settle who's in charge. Westeros is not a warning about magic. There are no dragons coming for you. There is no army of the dead. There is only this, a room full of intelligent people fighting over a machine that stopped working generations ago, so consumed by the fight that not one of them looks up to see what's coming over the wall. They thought the story was about the throne. It was never about the throne. It was about everything they refused to see, because the throne was easier to look at. Winter is coming. It always was. And the most human thing in the world, the thing we have done in every century, in every empire, in every life, is to insist we have time to finish the fight first. Next time, we follow the only player who saw the whole board clearly and watch the system punish him for it.